Today we're going to look at my credit card game plan for 2025. We'll look at cards I'm excited for, general strategy, and also how I'm navigating the end game. Big favorite before we dive in is to give this a thumbs up to help with the algorithm. If you're new and you want to maximize your credit card points, then consider subscribing. As a background, I'm actually a credit card person. I don't just talk about cards, I have a ton, and I use the perks. My strategy is centered around getting outsized value, so for example, I'm happy to spend money on annual fees if the rewards and perks are substantial. I'm not against Team Cashback. If anything, most of my family is on Team Cashback. I guess a good question for yourself is, if you were to spend $15,000, would you rather get 2% back, so $300 in cash back, or put it on something like an Amex Hilton Aspire, get a $15K free night reward, and use that at a Conrad or Waldorf Astoria? For me, I'd pick the latter because I wouldn't be able to get those nights for only $300. I can't just go there off the cash. I'd probably have to pay 5 or 10 times as much. For some people, it's going to be a no though because they don't care about those destinations, or they just don't want to travel that far. Or even if they like skiing and go to Park City, maybe they prefer Airbnbs or prefer getting a ski truck and staying in that. So with that said, for my circumstances, I'm pretty much looking for 3 things. Number 1 is going to be opportunities to pay X to get X plus Y value. For example, pay a $95 annual fee, but get a category 1 to 4 certificate where I get more than that in value. With that, we do aggressively stack hotel keeper cards, the ones that come with free nights, and also some airline cards that have credits and also other rewards. One funny example is that I know a lot of people hate the changes that happened to the Delta cards, but for us, it actually made a ton of sense because it made those cards more viable and more justifiable to keep long term. I have both the Delta Reserve and Delta Reserve Business, and I was probably going to cancel one or both of them until those changes. For the Hotel Keeper cards, if you travel a few times a year, there's going to be occasions where you can use them and get value. Some might not be as exciting, maybe only saving $50 or $100 per that $100 annual fee, but it's still something. It's 2 times above that fee. Okay, focus number 2 is category spend. For bigger categories that we spend a lot on that have good cards, get relevant cards. So for example, dining and groceries are pretty straightforward, and if you are a business owner and you do a lot of ad spend, then getting relevant cards over there. On the other hand, for things like streaming, we don't really optimize it because even though we pay for some services, it's not enough for us to care. The 2 that don't have credits are going to be Netflix and YouTube Premium. For hotel cards, we have all the ones for the major hotel chains, and when we are spending at that hotel, we'll use the relevant card. For flights and general travel, we have a lot of options, and yeah, it just depends on if it's specific to an airline or if it's general. The 3rd key is spend-based incentives. Opportunities to spend X where you get a reward. This might be for elite status or additional free nights. This is definitely way easier for businesses or people that are dropshipping or doing things on the side where you have to spend money to make money. But still also worth considering if you rent or you have to do estimated tax payments. For the latter 2, you can oftentimes use your credit cards if you pay a fee. For example, if you have investment income, dividend income, or you do contract work on the side, then you probably need to make estimated tax payments. You can use your credit card to make those payments and earn points and rewards or cash back for that 1.82% fee, or maybe a bit higher. Even if you're on Team Cashback, it can work, but might not move the needle as much. Another way to think of it is, would you pay 1.82% to get 2%? It's pretty much an arbitrage and easy value. At the same time, it might be immaterial. For example, running the numbers for that $15K tax payment, you're only netting $27, which is fine, but it's not that big of a deal. On the other hand, going back to the American Express Hilton Surpass, you could put that same $15K spend in order to generate that night. So would you pay $273 for that Hilton free night reward? Some people would and others wouldn't. For us and for a lot of you guys who I've ran into on trips, I think you would. For example, based off our Japan trip in August where we stayed at Roku LXR, and the one we're doing next year in February to Niseko again. The alternative is paying 3 times as much out of pocket or staying in substantially worse hotels. To be fair though, we might also be an edge case because we are trying to do a bunch of travel. Part of that is for content for the Many Roams and Sebby Funk channel and to scale up that travel side. The other thing too is that we are trying to get travel out of the system and then maybe take a break for a year or 2. But yeah, right now there's still a ton we want to see and do. Also, we did travel a ton in the past, but we didn't really want to share it as close to the travel date as we do nowadays. One big reason is that we feel a lot safer now. That brings us to the sponsor of today's video, Delete Me. The holidays aren't just a wonderful time for you, it's also a wonderful time for burglars and criminals. So there's 2 parts of this. Number 1 is them knowing that you're not home, and the other part is them knowing your address. Pause the video and do me a favor. Search your first name, last name, and street address. Let's say LeBron James, Crystal View. If you're famous or notable, this can obviously be a big problem. Even if you're not though, there's just way too much of your personal information floating around. You can remove all of this yourself, but it can take hours. Delete Me makes it super easy, and I've been using them for more than a year. In that time, they've reviewed almost 45,000 listings from way too many places. My favorite part is that they scan for stuff in the background and get it removed, all without me having to do anything. For most people, they usually remove over 2,000 pieces of data in your first 2 years using them. So if you want to protect your personal information, then check out joindeleteme.com/AskSebby and use promo code SEBBY for 20% off their US consumer plans. Okay, so everything we covered is more my broad strategy. Let's get a bit into specifics. Dining, groceries, and category 1s, I feel like I don't need to talk about here because we talk about that pretty much all the time. Keeper ones are more interesting because they're not all made equal. For example, there are some low or no spend ones where the focus is free nights and to use any credits, if any. In our case, the perks there outweigh the annual fees and they're there for the perks, and that's pretty much it. Again, paying X to get X plus Y value, paying maybe $500 to get $1,000 in value, or $95 to get $200 or $300 in value. If I'm staying in an IHG property, let's say the region Taipei, then I'll obviously use the IHG card, but that's pretty much it. I'm not really using the IHG card for everyday purchases and otherwise carrying it around. The next level is moderate spend, where the focus is free nights and maybe basic status. Work spend, business spend, and kind of the other stuff is probably why we're so aggressive, otherwise I don't think we would be. The United is basically the Farm United Silver status. Same day changes and economy plus seating is nice. I generally prefer Delta, but sometimes I do have to fly United, given that we are in SFO and they own 50% of the market share. For high spend stuff, it's mostly around chasing elite status. In addition to all of this, we are actively still chasing intro bonuses. So I'm pretty much done of MX, I'm keeping through cards obviously, but there's nothing else I can really add to get additional bonuses. I pretty much worked my way through all their cards. My clock for the Alaska and Alaska Business card is up though, so that's in play. Same thing for Citi, American Airlines, and American Airlines Business, that should also be fine. Wyndham and Wyndham Business I couldn't get approved for, but given the current changes, I don't think I'm missing much. I am also debating some airline cards that are probably going to be testers, such as Qatar. Those make sense for year 1, especially given the intro bonus, but end up being a lot more questionable for year 2. In terms of 2025 plan for myself, one big focus is obviously to travel more, but also to help you guys travel more as well. So again, sharing those trip reports over in the travel channel, Sebby Fung and Mandy Roams, and how to use points there, but also probably trying to do some redemption guides as well, so walking through how to actually do the booking, and we do have a few of those edited, but it does feel a lot slower and a bit more boring, so I've held off. Yeah, maybe it's fine that there's no jump cuts and ton of B-roll and stuff for tutorials, and it is a bit slower, but let me know. Also not really a points or miles redemption, but we really want to do Antarctica, and we're hoping to make it work in 2025. It's been on the bucket list, but can't wait to see some pudgy and cute penguins. On that note, if you are someone that wants to learn about cards and you want to support the channel, we do have links on the website, AskSebby.com, and also down below in the description box. Also, in case you're curious, we have an advertiser disclosure down in the description box as well. Make sure the links are competitive, that they work for you and your circumstances, but otherwise it is a huge way to support the channel, so thank you in advance. If you made it to this point, leave a penguin emoji in the comments down below and I'll try to heart it and also respond. 3 questions. Number 1, what's your credit card game plan for 2025? Number 2, any travel redemption, either plans or goals. Number 3, any personal growth plans. Maybe a bit personal and people don't care, but Mandy and I have been pretty good about working out when we're at home, but when we travel, it's been tough. Consistency is tough, and I feel like we just don't push ourselves as hard compared to at Barry's. Also, food is really tough. So first off, it tastes delicious, and second off, you're in those places, you arguably should be enjoying those foods. But yeah, would love some tips. Big favorite, thumbs up, share this, but otherwise hope you liked it. See you next time.